There are Spider-Men, Spider-Women, Spider-Hams, 93 brand new legendary creatures coming in the Spider-Man set. So in this video, we're going to look at all of them and rank them in an internet-friendly tier list. At the very top are the Tomer favorites. These are the cards that I like so much that I'm going to either add to my personal deck list or lead brand new deck lists as the commander. At the very least, I'm going to be brewing around them and showcasing them on stuff like Commander Clash. Then we've got Great in the Command Zone. These are legendary creatures that I think are great, but they're just better suited in the Command Zone. Great in the 99, exact opposite. I think they're better suited in the 99. The Maybe pile, where they could be powerful, but I'm not quite sure how to best utilize them. And then finally, we've got Spider Trash. These are legendary creatures that I don't think were built for Commander. They probably were built to fill other specific roles, such as Limited, because you can draft the main set, or they're from the Welcome decks, where they're just focused on kind of teaching people how to play Magic, and they're not really focused on being really powerful cards. I'm not saying they're unplayable in Commander, but you probably will play them only at low-powered tables. Now, I'm not personally a big Spider fan. I've watched most of the Spider-Man movies, at least like the Tobey Maguire and then the Tom Holland ones at least. But I've never read the comics, so a lot of the references here are going to go over my head. I'm just going to be looking at the cards from a card design standpoint, and the lore, like, I might get like the most popular references, but like the deep cuts are going to go over my head. All right, we begin alphabetically, and we start with Agent Venom. So Agent Venom is a 3-mana black legendary creature symbiote soldier hero. It's a 2/3 with Flash Menace, and whenever another non-token creature you control dies, you draw a card and you lose 1 life. So Agent Venom is almost exactly a Midnight Reaper that happens to be legendary, so it could be your commander. And that's really good. Like, Midnight Reaper is still a staple, in my opinion, in a lot of Black Aristocrat shells, just turning all your sacrifice fodder, non-token sacrifice fodder, into card advantage, which is just really good on a 3-drop. So worst case, this is just another Midnight Reaper in all the Aristocrat decks that are already running Midnight Reaper, which means highly playable in a lot of decks. And then also, it's very interesting as a commander. It's a Midnight Reaper that you can put in the command zone. And this might be the most card advantage you can put in a mono black Aristocrat deck in the command zone. Well, maybe Yawgmoth is still more card draw, but this is definitely a really, really great option in the command zone. It's going to be drawing more cards on average, I would say, than like a Yara or Sephiroth, which are more about having like that ping ability. The card draw is like extra bonus. Maybe not overall as strong as Sephiroth, but like, yeah, this is a really good option in the command zone. It's just a really great card draw engine. It's great in the 9/9. It's great in the command zone. It's just a really good card. It's literally a legendary Midnight Reaper. So Agent Venom, I think it's just great in the command zone, great in the 99. I'm going to play it safe and just say great in the 99, though I think it's also going to be great in the command zone. I think there's just a lot of competition in the command zone, but in the 99 for sure. Next, we've got Anti-Venom, Horrifying Healer. It's a mono white, 5 white pips to cast. Legendary creature symbiote hero. It's a 5/5. When it enters, if he was cast, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. If damage would be dealt to Anti-Venom, prevent that damage and put that many +1/+1 counters on him. Now, this to me reads as a combo deck. I'm pretty sure there are some ways to combo with Anti-Venom. Actually, let me check one sec real quickly. So yeah, there are at least some combos with Anti-Venom. You can have Anti-Venom, Lae'zel, and Agatha's Soul Cauldron on the battlefield. You have the Walking Ballista exiled with Soul Cauldron, so that creatures with +1/+1 counters on them have the ability of Walking Ballista. And then when Anti-Venom has a counter on it, you can remove the counter to deal 1 damage to itself, thanks to Walking Ballista's ability from Soul Cauldron. And then that damage will be prevented. You'll get that many counters, but you'll get that many counters +1 thanks to Lae'zel. And then you could repeat that infinite times for infinite +1/+1 counters on Anti-Venom, and then you can remove those counters to do infinite damage to all your opponents. It's a lot of pieces, but it is a way to combo off. Combos aside, there are just really cool things you can do to build around Anti-Venom. The 5 white pips means it gives you a really high devotion count. So if you're running like Nykthos, for example, it's going to be really, really potent with him. That ETB is also quite good. It's just straight up a reanimation for 5 mana. If you have any ways of bouncing Anti-Venom back to your hand, like a Cloudstone Curio effect, you can repeatedly reanimate things for 5 mana. That's not a bad rate whatsoever. And then also you can throw stuff like, I think, Pariah or whatever, that say instead of you taking damage, the enchanted creature takes damage instead. And then because Anti-Venom can't take damage or damage prevented, you just don't take damage, and Anti-Venom gets really, really big, which is quite fun. And then obviously, if you put him in the 99 and you pair him with red, you can just pair him with a lot of mass burn abilities like Blasphemous Act, for example. He'll keep surviving through all the sweepers, but he'll keep growing bigger and bigger. So there's a lot of really fun ways of building around Anti-Venom. I find this design incredibly interesting and also powerful. Like not just your typical, oh, you draw cards and you ramp, blah, 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 blah. It's doing something a little bit more interesting, but also being very exciting to build around. I think it's good in the command zone. Probably better in the 99. But you know what? I really like this card. I want to brew around it, so I'm going to put it on Tomer Favorites. Okay, next we've got Arachne, Psionic Weaver. It's a 3-mana white legendary creature, spider human hero. It's a 3/3 with web slinging. Web slinging is a new mechanic with the set. It says you may cast a spell for its web slinging cost, which is 1 white, if you also return a tapped creature you control to its owner's hand. It's kind of like a toned down ninjutsu, I guess, where you don't have to be you don't have to have like an attacking unblocked creature to do it. It's just like something that's tapped. And as Arachne enters, look at target opponent's hand, then choose a non-creature card type. Spells of the chosen type cost 1 more to cast. This seems like it's aimed at standard play, I would imagine, where you're targeting just one opponent, you're slowing them down a little bit. But it's not very impactful in Commander. Like if you force everybody to be stacked a little bit, then that would be more interesting in a multiplayer format. But I think this one was clearly designed for standard in mind, and it's not really that good in Commander play. All right, Arachne, I'm sorry, but you're the first of Spider Trash. Next, we've got Aranya, Heart of the Spider. It's a 3-mana Boros legendary creature, spider human hero. It's a 3/3, and whenever you attack, put a +1/+1 counter on target attacking creature. Whenever a modified creature you control deals combat damage to a player, exile the top card of your library. You may play that card this turn. So this is setup and payoff. Like whenever you're attacking, you get to put a counter on something, which makes it modified. And then when that modified creature deals damage, you get to impulse draw. You can only play the card this turn, not until the end of your next turn. So it's a little bit more restrictive in terms of timing. But nonetheless, it's a very solid card. I think this card is pretty darn strong. Typically getting counters on everything is like a white/green based thing. And it shouldn't be too hard in white to just like go wide with a couple creatures, get counters on them very easily. Like there's Felidar Retreat, there's Cathar's Crusade, there's a whole bunch of ways of just like very efficiently putting counters on everything. Swing of everything, get a lot of impulse draw, have fun with it. It's a 3-drop. Pretty easy to get it going. Yeah, I think this one is quite strong, and I think it's worthy of the command zone, though. If you are in a random modified deck, you could just throw this into the 99, and it's going to do just fine there, too. So Aranya is very flexible, great in the command zone, great in the 99. I'll just put it great in the command zone for now. Next, we have Aunt May. Yes, Aunt May is ready to battle. Aunt May is 1 white legendary creature, human citizen. It's a 0/2. And whenever another creature you control enters, you gain 1 life. If it's a spider, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Ah, man, Aunt May in Magic the Gathering. I would put this as my commander. You know, like just for the memes. Just put her in the command zone. I don't even know how many spiders there are in mono whites. Doesn't matter. You could go a life gain deck. I would go Aunt May Voltron. I would just see where that leads. I'm sure there's something that can be done for Aunt May Voltron. It must be done. I must brew this list. Aunt May is done making wheat cakes, and she's ready for blood. Aunt May, top of the Tomer favorites. There we go. Perfect, no notes. Next, we've got Beetle, Legacy Criminal. It's a 4-mana blue legendary creature, human rogue villain. It's a 3/3 with flying, and it has an ability from the graveyard. You can pay 2 mana, 1 in blue, exile this card from your graveyard, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. It gains flying until end of turn, activate only as a sorcery. So this is the type of card that's kind of aimed at limited. I think blue-black is like a graveyard-focused style archetype where you're like conniving and doing villainy stuff, putting your villains in the graveyard, and then some of these villains have activated abilities from the graveyard and you get buffed that way. And black is also about discarding too for like mayhem and stuff in Rakdos. But yeah, in Commander, just you can easily discard this card. It's not that difficult. But then paying 2 mana to put a counter on something, temporary flying, only sorcery speed is just not worth it, really, as a payoff. All right, so Beetle, Spider trash. Sorry. Next, we've got Black Cat, Cunning Thief. It's a 5-mana black legendary creature, human rogue villain. It's a 2/3, and it says when it enters, look at the top 9 cards of target opponent's library, exile 2 of them face down, put the rest on the bottom of their library in a random order. You may play the exiled cards for as long as they remain exiled. Mana of any type can be spent to cast spells this way. This is literally just Powercraft's Gonti. Gonti is the OG version of this. Basically, it literally does the same thing, except Gonti is 4 mana. I think it's like a 2/4 or 2/3 or something like that. And it has Death Touch. But I think you can only look at like the top 4. It's going to be on the screen right now. I'm just doing it off the top of my head. I think it's like 4 mana, look at the top 4, and you choose 1 card to exile and cast later on. Whereas Black Cat, for 1 more mana, you lose Death Touch, but you get to dig top 9 cards and you get 2 of them. So I think just paying 1 more mana, losing Death Touch is well worth the fact that you get an extra card and you get to dig so much deeper into your opponent's library when doing so. Gonti is one of my favorite budget chill decks because it scales so well with the rest of the table, and you can build it on a shoestring budget. Like you just focus on ways of like blinking Gonti, sacrificing him and getting him back onto the battlefield with like undying effects. And it's really fun. It's really chill. And if your opponents are playing trash, then your deck is trash. If your opponents are playing high-powered stuff, then you're stealing their high-powered cards. It's a really good and fun style of play. And I think Black Cat just does the same thing, but just better. So I kind of feel a little bit bad that Gonti gets just blatantly powercraft by Black Cat, but it is what it is. And I think this card's just really, really fun to play. I really like Gonti, and surely I will like Powercraft Gonti. So Black Cat, if you're in a theft deck, it's great in the 99. But I think it's also just like great in the command zone. And I love Gonti effects. This is another one that I'm very keen on actually building, brewing. Probably not adding to my paper collection, but definitely like making a budget brew on this for sure. Next, we've got Carnage, Crimson Chaos. This is a 4-mana Rakdos legendary creature symbiote villain. It's a 4/3 with trample. And when it enters, return target creature card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. It gains this creature attacks each combat if able, and when this creature deals combat damage to a player, sacrifice it. And it has a mayhem cost of just black and red, so 2 mana total. And annoyingly, it doesn't tell you what Mayhem is, even though it's a brand new mechanic coming just in the set. But what Mayhem is, when you discard this card, you can cast it on the same turn, but timing restrictions apply. It's basically a nerfed, more easier to understand version of Madness. That's basically it. Anywho, the card itself, it's pretty good, right? Like, especially if you cast it for its Mayhem cost. Think of it this way: if you discard it, you cast it for 2 mana, it ETBs, reanimates another thing from your graveyard. And if that has enter the battlefield triggers or sacrifice triggers, you're getting tons of value out of it. The must attack each combat if able doesn't matter whatsoever. You're just trying to reuse enter the battlefield, leave the battlefield triggers. As a commander, I think it's also pretty darn good. You probably focus on ways of like casting this, playing discard, and then when it does die, trying to return it back to your hand so you can discard it later and recast it for its mayhem cost over and over again. It's just easier also to just utilize it in the 99 of discard decks, because then you don't have to do that extra work. You just always get the mayhem trigger on it. And yeah, Rakdos is really good at discarding for value. Red is very good at discarding for value. So it's pretty easy to utilize this, and you're going to be discarding other creatures, so it's going to be pretty easy to always reanimate, and it's just very mana efficient at reanimation. All right, Carnage. Great in the command zone, great in the 9/9. I'm just going to say great in the 9/9 for now. Next, we've got Chameleon, Master of Disguise. It's a 4-mana blue legendary creature, human shapeshifter villain. It's a 2/3, and it says you may have Chameleon enter as a copy of a creature you control, except his name is Chameleon, Master of Disguise, and he has a mayhem cost of only 3 mana, so 2 and a blue. So this is basically a Sakashima that can only copy your own creatures. That means you can get around the legend rule, so it's not like a clone where like the clone, if you copy a legendary creature, then the legendary rule applies. No, it keeps its own name. Therefore, if you copy whatever on your side of the battlefield, even if it's legendary, you don't have to sacrifice you to the legend rule or whatever. Yeah, I think this card's just very good. There's going to be a lot of commander decks where your commander is just so good that's the only thing better than one version of your commander is having 2 of them on the battlefield at a given time. And this even has mayhem. So if you're, playing like some sort of discardy style deck, you get even more value because you get to, get card advantage and mana advantage off its mayhem ability. Yeah, very, very solid. Better as a 99 than the commander, though, obviously. Though it would be funny to put it in the command zone, too, and see what you could do with that. Yeah, Chameleon, great in the 99. If you are in a deck where you want to copy your commander, and there's a lot of those, then Chameleon is a really easy choice, easy inclusion. And then if you have any way of discarding him to trigger mayhem, gets even better. Next, we've got Cosmic Spider-Man. This is a 5-mana WUBRG legendary creature spider human hero. It's a 5/5 flying, first strike, trample, lifelink, haste. And at the beginning of combat on your turn, other spiders you control gain flying, first strike, trample, lifelink, haste until end of turn. This is just your 5-color, put all your Spider-Mans in a commander deck. Commander, right? You put this in the command zone, you have access to all the colors, you put all your Spider-Man in there, hooray, and you do a thing. Is it a very strong card? I would say not so much. It's pretty chill, honestly, for WUBRG thingies, but maybe like Jodas and Scion of the Ur-Dragons and stuff have kind of broken me mentally, that when I see something that is just good, I'm like, unplayable. No, it's actually very good. I guess it's just looking at the creature by itself. 5 mana, 5/5, immediately swings, has super evasion, and gains you life. That's already like a pretty decent creature. And then on top of that, if you have a bunch of spiders laying around, they're all getting benefit from that Anthem too when you're attacking. Not really good on blocking. Doesn't have like vigilance or anything. Doesn't have any built-in resiliency to removal, which I think those are all good aspects. Obviously not like Joda level. But if you want to play a 5-color Spider-Man deck, this is your guy. It's pretty decent. It's pretty okay. Also, people were asking me, is this going to be amazing in Changelings? And I might put it in Changelings. The problem is like all my Changelings are like 1/1s and 2/2s. So all these like Anthem effects, they're okay. The evasion and haste is okay, but like I'm not going to gain too much life off them. And then like the extra keywords like first strike, trample, don't really care. So like it's fine. It's the creature itself is already pretty good, but the Anthem on the Changelings is not that great. And then the question is like, which Anthem creature do I cut for him? And I don't actually know the answers to that. So it's a maybe for me. I don't think it's as bonkers as people were imagining when it got first hyped. I remember people were saying like, this is another mistake card, power creep, WotC. And I'm like, it's fine, you guys. It's not actually one of the strongest cards in the set. There's a lot stronger cards, actually. But this is the flashiest one, and I think that's the whole point, is like to be casual bait. In a good way. In a good way. I like casual bait to be looking flashy and very battle cruisery, which is what the Commander format's all about, but not actually being like super busted or anything, which I think is good design. Bravo. So Cosmic Spider-Man, it's great in the command zone, specifically for your 5-color spider deck. I mean, it's the most obvious choice here. Not busted or anything, but it's just quite solid. Next, we have Doc Ock, Evil Inventor. It's a 7-mana Dimir legendary creature human scientist villain. It's an 8/8, and it says, at the beginning of combat on your turn, target non-creature artifact you control becomes an 8/8 robot villain artifact creature in addition to its other types. And that's all it does. I think this is like from some sort of diorama. I don't know what the term is. You know, when they have a bunch of cards and you put them together and they make a big artwork. Yeah, but it's from, I think, like the Welcome deck or the Welcome set or something, which is meant to be onboarding new players and not necessarily being powerful. And that's going to be a recurring thread for all these Welcome cards, or Spider-Man Eternal cards, as they're calling them over here. And yeah, it's not super powerful. It's definitely on the weak side. 7 mana's a lot. You could just reanimate it. You're in black, I guess. The best case scenario is you find like indestructible artifacts that are non-creature, like a Darksteel Citadel or whatever, and you just turn that into an 8/8 and start punching people in the face with it. But like, definitely for a 7-drop these days in 2025, you could do much stronger things. So Doc Ock, it's spider trash, but it's like a maybe. You could do some cute things with it, I guess. Next, we have a common version of Doc Ock. So Doc Ock, Sinister Scientist, 5-mana blue, legendary creature, human scientist villain. It's a 4/5. As long as there are 8 or more cards in your graveyard, Doc Ock has base power and toughness 8/8. And as long as you control another villain, it has hexproof. This is just a common card. It's meant to be filler for drafts. Fill out your draft decks. Nothing to do with Commander. So Doc Ock, just spider trash, limited fodder. But now we get the mythic version of Doc Ock. This is Dr. Octopus, Master Planner, also 7-mana Dimir. Legendary creature, human scientist villain. It's a 4/8, but it says other villains you control get +2/+2. Your maximum hand size is 8, so 1 extra. Nice. And at the beginning of your end step, if you have fewer than 8 cards in hand, draw cards equal to the difference. So 7-drop, pumps up your villains, gives you a little bit of a bigger hand size, and then on your first end step, can draw you, I guess, up to 8 cards if you were empty-handed when you cast him. Pretty cool card. I think this is a very solid reanimation target, especially if you're like a hand dumpy style deck, not like a Drago control, because then you want to have a lot of cards in your hand at any given time. But if you're like vomit out cards from my hand, a lot of mana rocks, a lot of ramping and whatnot, and then you drop Doc Ock and you immediately refill, that's really good. The villains Anthem is nice too. I don't know if there's enough villains to round out like a proper villain deck in Commander, but it might be the case that you can do so. But I'm just viewing this as like a 7-drop that you can either reanimate or have in the command zone. Dump your hand, immediately refill 8 cards. Seems pretty decent already. As a Commander, I think you just like fill the entire deck with like a lot of ramp, and then try to ramp out Doc Ock, refill your hand, go from there. But I think it's more interesting in the 99 as like a reanimation target. Just find ways of discarding this card, filling out, dropping your hand as quickly as possible, and then reanimating Doc Ock later when you need a hand refill. It's pretty solid there. There's nothing wild, but I think it is a solid reanimation target. So Doc Ock, great in the 99. I think maybe great in the 99 is generous, but I think it's very playable. Okay, then we got some double-sided mythics. So we have Venom Lethal Protector, and I don't know if that's the front side. No, the front side I think is Eddie Brock. Yeah? I think that's what the the arrow is pointing for. Anyway, so we'll just start with Eddie Brock. Eddie Brock, the legend front side, is a 3-mana black legendary creature, human hero villain. It says when it enters, return target creature card with mana value 1 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. And then you can pay 6 mana, 3 black, red, green to transform it, activate only as a sorcery. And it's a 3/3. So you can play Eddie Brock and then transform it later on. Or you can just cast the backside. The backside is Venom Lethal Protector, which is 3 and Jund, black, red, green. Legendary creature, symbiote, hero, villain, menace, trample, haste. And whenever it attacks, you may sacrifice another creature. If you do, draw X cards. Then you may put a permanent card with mana value X or less from your hand onto the battlefield, where X is a sacrificed creature's mana value. It's a 5/5. This is an interesting card. I think it is a little bit weird design. It feels like 2 cards that got smushed together, but don't really do much. The both sides don't really do much together. You know, it feels like really 2 separate designs that they just stitched together for some reason. The front side makes me think, oh, I'm going to fill out my deck with like a bunch of 1-drops that I can reanimate, like self-sacrifice type things. Maybe like, you know, spore frogs or whatever, anything that has like sacrifice it, gain a little bit of utility. And then the backside is like the exact opposite. You want to sacrifice big things with high mana value. So front side, small mana value, backside, big mana value. What's going on? So I guess like you probably want to focus your deck build. If you have this in the command as a commander, you probably want to focus on one side of this card as opposed to both. You could go for both. You know, you could have like an even distribution. You could have like a couple 1-drops that want to be sacrificed and then focus the rest of the deck on high mana value creatures for the backside. But yeah, I just feel like it's a little bit clunky. I think the backside is a little bit stronger than the front. It's just like a big old beater. And then it has haste, and immediately when it attacks, you can sacrifice a big creature, draw a whole bunch of cards, and then slap down a big permanent. And I'm thinking about like high mana value creatures that you can cast for lower mana. Like, for example, there's that new warp creature that's like a 9-drop that has a warp cost of 3. You can like warp that in, attack with Venom, draw 9 cards, slap down a big permanent. It's basically like the Gitrog Wild Ride. Just like a powered down version of the Gitrog. The Gitrog is like busted. You like sacrifice 1 creature, you draw all the cards, you slap down like a bajillion mana. So even if you get board wiped, even if Gitrog dies, it doesn't matter. You can recast them a billion times. You just have to hit 1 time for it to work. Whereas this one, a little bit toned down. You only get to cheat in 1 permanent onto the battlefield. But you still get to draw oodles of cards, and you have access to red, which is quite nice. And you don't have to deal combat damage. You just have to attack. So there are benefits to Venom over Gitrog, but like I feel like overall it's a little bit toned down. And it's kind of cool that you have also the Eddie Brock aspect too. Or you could go like focus on Eddie Brock and then have Venom as a backup plan. I don't know. Very interesting design. I think this is much better as a commander than the 99, I would say, probably. But yeah, very interesting design. So Venom, I'll say great in the command zone. All right, next we have Electro Assaulting Battery. It's a 3-mana red legendary creature human villain. It's a 2/3 flyer. You don't lose unspent red mana as steps and phases end. And whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, you add 1 red. And when it leaves the battlefield, you may pay X. If you do, he deals X damage to target player. So this is kind of like mono red Storm, I guess. You want to load up on instant sorceries. It essentially gives you a 1 mana discount or a 1 mana refund on all your instant sorcery spells. So if you cast a bunch of really cheap spells, you can keep going and going and going. Or you can also utilize like mana on multiple turns. So like you could take a turn off, tap all your mana for red, and then the next turn you have like double the mana available to you to have a really big turn as well. And then also he acts as a finisher too. So if you have like oodles of red mana, you sacrifice them to whatever, and then you kill somebody, burn them in the face. Quite nice. The first card I think about obviously is Braid of Fire, which is kind of clunky. It's mana advantage. It's really, really cool and unique, but it's very clunky to utilize because you only get it on like your upkeep. So Electro can keep that mana sitting around and utilizing it as a proper mana source, I would say. Yeah, really interesting design. Could be powerful. Is it more like powerful than like a Burgi or something, which you already have, or like Urabrask? I don't think so. But it is, a cool design regardless. So Electro, I will say great in the command zone. You can also just slap this into any other Stormy mono red deck in the 99. I'm thinking Burgi. I'm thinking the new Ashling. Those are the two ones that immediately pop into my brain. Also the flip Urabrask. So I guess Red's been doing this for quite a while. They're all kind of interchangeable in my opinion. Next we've got Ezekiel Sims Spider Totem. It's a 5-mana green legendary creature, human spider advisor thingy. It's a 3/5 reach. At the beginning of combat on your turn, target spider you control gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Again, this is, I think, just limited fodder. I don't see any real application for it in Commander, so we can skip it. Ezekiel Sims, trash. Okay, next we've got Flash Thompson, Spider Fan. 2-mana white, legendary creature, human citizen. It's a 2/2 of Flash, nice. And when Flash Thompson enters, choose one or both. You can heckle, tap target creature, or hero worship, untap target creature. Kind of neat design. I don't know what I would do with it in Commander. I would hope maybe there's like a combo of it with the untappy ability, but there has to be easier ways of comboing off, I would imagine. And then I can't think of anything else nice to say about it, so we'll just skip it. All right, Flash is trash. Next, we have another Spider-Man Eternal card. It's Ghost Spider Gwen Stacy, but this is mythic, so it might be decent. 5-mana red legendary creature, humans, spider human hero. It's a 4/4 with menace, and when it attacks, she deals X damage to defending player, where X is the number of attacking creatures. So you just want to go wide, you swing with everything, and deal extra damage to it. Yeah. Not that great. Definitely more exciting, I guess, in 1v1. But like in Commander, you compare that to like an Arabella or something that does kind of similar, but hits all your opponents and probably does a lot more damage and gains you life and everything and costs 2 mana instead of 5. Yeah, this doesn't scale very well into Commander. So Ghost Spider, Spider trash. Okay, we got another Spider-Man Eternal card. Let's see if it's any good. Green Goblin, Nemesis, 5-mana Rakdos, legendary creature, human goblin villain, 3/3 flying. Whenever you discard a non-land card, you put a +1/+1 counter on target goblin you control. Intriguing. And when you discard a land card, create a tapped treasure token. Wait a minute. This card is good. What? Yeah, this looks like you want to be in either a really heavy like looting style deck or like a wheel style deck, or probably both. And you want to wheel a whole bunch of times. And you'll be discarding a whole bunch of cards, and you'll be growing your goblins. There's at least one on the battlefield. You could go more goblins and grow other things too. But then also when you're discarding lands, you're making a bunch of treasures. You can't use it immediately because it comes tapped, thank goodness. But still, like you wheel and you get a whole bunch of treasure tokens. You grow the green goblin or whatever other goblins you have on the battlefield really, really quickly. This one seems playable for 4 mana. That seems pretty decent. It's not like super busted, but like it's good. It's playable. Yeah, heck yeah. So Green Goblin, I think like if you're in like a wheelie, discardy style Rakdos deck, you can put it in the 99, but you can also put it in the command zone. Both are okay to me. I'll just put Gray in the command zone. How about that? Okay, now we got the uncommon Green Goblin. So there's a Green Goblin Revenant. 5-mana Rakdos, legendary creature, human goblin villain. 3/3 flying death touch. When it attacks, discard a card, then draw a card for each card you've discarded this turn. What the heck? Does Green Goblin just get all the good cards? I thought this was going to be a bad uncommon because most of them are bad uncommons. But that attack trigger can draw you a lot of cards. Again, like if you just like wheel or something and then you attack a Green Goblin, you're going to be drawing a lot of cards. You cast like a Faithless Looting or something, draw 2, discard 2, and then you attack and you discard another card, and then you draw 3. Yeah, I think this card's pretty good. The only bad thing about this card is just the mana value. It's 5 mana, and it doesn't have haste. So it's quite slow, but like you're in Rakdos, you're in a discard focused deck. You could just put this in the 99 and reanimate it. Yeah, it seems pretty decent. The 5 mana is kind of ouchies, especially without haste. But whatever, you're a discard deck. You could reanimate it. You could have anger in the graveyard. You could discard that. Yeah, I think this one's playable too, actually. You know what? I'll be charitable. It could be a maybe. Could be a maybe. But I'm going to say greater than 99. I think this one's actually pretty okay. All right, next up, we got just another, just like jank, Spider-Man Eternal card from the Welcome decks. It's a 3/3 flying Death Touch. It could be like 1 mana. It could be literally 1 mana. I would still not want to play it in Commander, but it's 4 mana, so it's, yeah, unplayable. I'm actually glad a lot of these are Spider Trash, because otherwise this would take forever. Okay, next we got Gwenom Remorseless. 5 mana, black, legendary creature, symbiote spider hero, 4/4 Death Touch lifelink. Whenever Gwenom attacks until end of turn, you may look at the top card of your library. Anytime, anyway, play cards from the top of your library. If you cast a spell this way, pay life equal to its mana value rather than pay its mana cost. This is Bolas' Citadel on a legendary creature. It's an attack trigger, so you can't always just use it whenever. But this card's very exciting, right? Like, Bolas' Citadel is a very strong card, if you did not know. And this being on a legendary creature means you could have Bolas' Citadel in the command zone, which is, yeah, it's exciting. Would you want it in the command zone, or would you want it in the 99? I feel like it would actually be more interesting in the command zone, because then you could, like, treat it as a Bolas' Citadel deck. You know, you can, like, run a bunch of ways of top deck manipulation. I don't know how many there are in mono black, but, you know, there's Sensei's Top, there's Scroll Rack. There are ways of utilizing this properly. Is this going to be like ousting Keurig from mono black, you know, Suicide Black style, cast, vomit out stuff and pay life instead of actually casting them for mana? I don't think so, but like, it's a very cool design space. I like it. Gwenom, I would say great in the command zone. You could also just jam it in the 99 of a bunch of decks. Like, if you just want a Bolas' Citadel, you could just run Gwenom in the 99. You still want to have haste, though. That's an important thing, because Bolas' Citadel, you just play it and then you just start doing the thing. Whereas Gwenom, you play it, but then you need to give it haste because it's an attack trigger. So that's one thing to keep in mind. And then just like having a bunch of fetch lands and stuff. But like, if you wanted Bolas' Citadel, this is like an interesting creature-based way of doing so. If you put it in the command zone, though, you can make sure, you know, she has haste, she has protection, she has all that stuff, evasion. And yeah, seems like a strong and fun card. Next, we have Gwen Stacy, 2 mana red, legendary creature, human performer hero. When it enters, as a top card of your library, you may play that card for as long as you control this creature. And then you can pay 5 mana, 2 and Jeskai, transform Gwen Stacy, activate only as a sorcery, or you could just play the backside, which is the Ghost Spider. Just 5 mana Jeskai, legendary creature, human spider hero. I keep saying human before spider. I don't know, my brain refuses to go the other way. It's a 4/4 flying, vigilance, haste. Whenever you play a land from exile or cast a spell from exile, you put +1 +1 counter on Ghost Spider. Remove 2 counters from it. Exile the top card of your library. You may play that card this turn. That is a lot of text. Ladies and gentlemen, that's a lot. That's a lot of text, but it's a lot of value on the Ghost Spider, right? Like, it's 4/4. It has evasion. It melee hits. It can block. And then, yeah, you grow it just by doing your card advantage stuff. And when you're growing it, you can remove counters to get more card advantage. It feeds into itself, slices and dices. And on the front side, you can play it early, get a little bit of card advantage, whatever, transform it later on, who cares? The flexibility is quite nice here. I think this is an interesting commander. You can focus on putting counters on Ghost Spider a variety of ways. And again, like, White's very good at doing that. Turn that into card advantage. You could play it early, you know, on the front side as a 2-drop, get a little bit of value going before you flip it. And then late game, you just focus on the Ghost Spider part. Both sides work together with each other, which is very important, unlike Eddie Brock. Yeah, I think it's a really cool design, really good commander. But again, if you're in like Jeskai and you just want some more card advantage and you're like, +1/+1 counters matters, you can put this in the 99, but more likely it's going to be a commander. Yeah, Ghost Spider, great in the command zone. I really like the design here. Next we have Hobgoblin, Mantled Marauder. It's a 2-mana red legendary creature, human, goblin villain. I keep doing it. It's goblin human villain, whatever. It's a 1/2 of flying haste, and whenever you discard a card, Hobgoblin gets +2/+0 until end of turn. My goodness. The goblins, it's the goblins that move over spiders. The goblins are actually the real haymakers over here. This is another one where you just like throw this into a wheel deck or whatever and wheel a couple times, and then Hobgoblin just like flying haste, someone dies. Yeah, I think this card is actually a big beater, right? For like a wheel style deck. Do you want this in the command zone or the 99? I feel like you'd want to put this in the 99 rather than the command zone, because first of all, if you put it in the command zone, people are going to be terrified. And then secondly, wheels and stuff are usually, is it colors? So by not having access to blue, it means you have less explosive potential here. But yeah, I think just flying haste, every single time you discard, you got +2/+0 until end of turn. You can kill people really fast. This is kind of spooky. I like it. Yeah, Hobgoblin kills people. I guess the command zone is interesting because then you get access to commander damage, but I'm just gonna shove him right in the 99 right over here. I like dealing damage. I like killing people. We'll put Gwenom closer to the high part of the command zone too. We'll do like and then like that, I think. One of the greatest names in the set, Hydro-Man Fluid Felon. Perfect. No notes. 2 mana, double blue, legendary creature, elemental villain. It's a 2/2. Whenever you cast a blue spell, if Hydro-Man is a creature, you get +1/+1 until end of turn. Love it. And then at the beginning of your end step, untap Hydro-Man until your next turn. He becomes a land and gains tap, add 1 blue. I like Hydro-Man. He's a weird, very weird ramp type card for Drago. You know, like you can smack with him, I guess, on your turn. Probably not, because he's a 2/2 of no evasion. But then on other turns, he's just like a land. He's just a little puddle, I guess, that taps for mana. I think that's adorable. I don't know what I would do with this card, but I guess if I'm playing Drago, I could put him as a 2-drop that kind of ramps kind of okay, and dodges most forms of removal on my opponent's turn, sorcerer speed at least. It's funny. I don't know. I really like design. Legit, one of my favorite designs of the set, but I honestly don't know what I would do with him. We got to do something with him. I'm going to put him great in the 99. It's ambitious. I kind of want to put him as a Tomer favorite, because how funny would it be to be like Fluid Felon Voltron, and then you just try to find ways of like putting +1/+1 counters on him, maybe animating the land somehow. I don't know. It's funny. There are like ways of like, there's like a counter spell, for example, that has like Awaken or something, so you can animate the land. I don't know if you would want to, but I don't know. It's a funny card. I like the design. Next, we have another spider. It's Iron Spider, Stark upgrade. It's a 3-mana colorless legendary artifact creature spider hero. It's a 2/3 with vigilance. As a tap ability, put a +1/+1 counter on each artifact creature and or vehicle you control. Nice. And then 2 mana, remove 2 counters from +1/+1 counters from among artifacts you control. Draw a card. Also nice. This seems good. If you're in like go wide style artifact deck with like a bunch of artifact creatures, which is pretty easy to do because artifacts poop out artifacts. You could put a lot of counters on stuff, and then you start removing them to draw cards. The removing them to draw cards is kind of slow because you have like, yeah, okay, removing 2 counters from stuff is okay to do, but then you have to pay 2 mana each time you draw cards, so it's not great. But the tap ability is quite nice, and then the fact that you can draw cards is also nice. Nothing wild over here. It's colorless, so it's going to be kind of awkward as a commander, but you can just like jam this into the 99 of an artifact deck that is go wide, and it could be pretty neat. We'll put Iron Spider at the bottom of great in the 99. I think that's fair. Next, we have Jackal Genius Geneticist. It's a 2-mana Simic legendary creature, human scientist villain. It's a 1/1 with trample. Whenever you cast a creature spell with mana value equal to Jackal's power, copy that spell, except that the copy isn't legendary, of course. Then put a +1/+1 counter on Jackal. This is a very interesting card. It's a very, very mana efficient clone ability, but you have to jump through significant hoops. You have to have the creature spell's mana value match Jackal's power, and then Jackal's power changes. It's very cool if you built this, like you put this as a commander, and then the deck would probably be focused all about counter manipulation, right? Because you're going to have a decent spectrum of creature spells that you want to cast, and then you're focused on basically putting counters or removing counters from Jackal to make sure you can copy those creatures as much as possible. And then you can probably have like a token sub-theme going on as well. It's a lot of work, but this is very exciting in terms of deck building as a challenge. And also it doesn't have like when you do X, Y, Z, you've got to draw a card and you make some mana. It's like more interesting payoffs. And I love that. It's a really cool design. And I'm very intrigued. You know what? Jackal, you're going to be in the Tomer favorites. I really like the design. I'm actually excited to build around this one. Next, we have J. Jonah Jameson. It's a 3-mana red legendary creature, human citizen. It's a 2/2, and it has, when it enters, suspect up to 1 target creature, and whenever a creature control with menace attacks, create a treasure token. So this is a payoff for menace style decks, right? Like you just attack with a bunch of menacing creatures, you create treasures. If, he suspects creatures too, so it gives them menace. And if you have any ways of like blinking or bouncing Jameson, you can make more things menacing. So it's a token, it's a treasure generator. It gives a little bit of evasion. Nothing too wild over here, but like if you're in a menacey deck, it can be pretty exciting. Or if you have any ways of like blinking him repeatedly, it's kind of exciting. It's not like super powerful or anything. I'd probably put him in the 99. He probably doesn't do enough to warrant being in the command zone. But like he could be somewhere that's okay. Yeah, J. Jonah, you're like a maybe. I'll put him in the maybe. Well, above Doc Ock, though, for sure. Okay, then we got Craven Proud Predator. It's an uncommon version of Craven. 3-mana Gruul, legendary creature, human warrior villain. It's a 4 power or 4 toughness creature with vigilance, and its power is equal to the greatest mana value among permanents you control. Not very good in Commander. You could definitely find ways of getting his power incredibly high by having like high mana value things that cost way less to cast, but it's not worth doing. Okay. Spider trash for you, Craven. But now we have the rare version of Craven, Craven the Hunter. 3-mana Golgari, legendary creature, human warrior villain. It's a 4/3 with trample. Whenever a creature an opponent controls with the greatest power among creatures that player controls dies, draw a card and put a +1/+1 counter on Craven the Hunter. This one is more playable. It's a Midnight Reaper for your opponent's creatures, but only when the biggest one dies. But not only do you draw a card, but you also get a counter on Craven. And Craven's already a 4/3 trampler, so that's like a pretty decent size. I would imagine if you're playing this in Commander, as the commander, it's just basically like just run all the removal spells and just keep killing all your opponent's creatures repeatedly over and over again, which would be like a Voltron strategy / turning all your removal into card draw. Definitely a way to play the game, not a way that your opponents would enjoy, but I think it would be actually quite effective. And then you could also put them in the 99, again, in a deck that kills your opponent's creatures very, very often. I think this one's actually a decent commander, though, now that I think about it. You just play this, and then you just run, like, all the Soul Shatters, all the ways to make your opponents all sacrifice the largest creatures, because there's a couple of those, and just, like, a lot of removal spells. All your removal turns into card advantage with Craven. He grows, he has trample, and then you just, like, commander kill people or whatever. Who cares? You're just drawing cards, you're punching people in the face. It's actually really, really strong. Your opponents will hate you, but it's really, really strong. Craven, actually great in the command zone. He's a very strong, he's a very strong one now that I think about it. Okay, now we got Lady Octopus, Inspired Inventor. Just 1 mana blue, legendary creature, human scientist villain. It's a 0/2. Whenever you draw your first or second card each turn, put an ingenuity counter on Lady Octopus. You can tap. You may cast an artifact spell from your hand with mana value less than or equal to the number of ingenuity counters on Lady Octopus without paying its mana cost. This is actually a very interesting design. Again, I'm actually very intrigued by this one. It's mono blue artifacts, but to really get value out of this card, you want to be drawing cards, at least 1 card on each person's turn. So like you cast Ops or whatever on your opponent's turns, you get to get extra ingenuity counters on Lady Octopus. You're tapping her, and then you're going to cast artifact spells for free. So it's a ramp engine. And she's perfect as a commander because she's a 1-drop. So you can always go like turn 1, Lady Octopus, and then start drawing cards on your opponent's turns. Fill your hand full of artifacts, play them for free with Lady Octopus's ability once she gets going. Yeah, I think this is definitely a really interesting build around, and it's an interesting hoop you have to jump through. And also, like, ways of untapping her too is going to be really, really useful. Could be quite powerful, very snowbally, but it does require a lot from you. Like, instead of just like waiting around every single turn cycle for 1 ingenuity counter, you want to be drawing cards actively on each opponent's turns, and there's going to be hoops to go through that. Yeah, I like this card a lot. I did not think I would like so many of these legendary creatures, but here I am, and I like a lot of these. These are actually very cool. Okay, now we got Living Brain, Mechanical Marvel. It's a 4-mana colorless legendary artifact creature robot villain. It's a 3/3. At the beginning of combat on your turn, target non-equipment artifact you control becomes an artifact creature with base power and toughness 3/3 until end of turn. Untap it. I think the most interesting part about this whole thing is that it can untap once per turn without, tapping itself or spending mana or whatever like that. So it's kind of like a Voltaic key, a very janky Voltaic key, but it's 4 mana. It's not very good in Commander. So Living Brain, Spider Trash. Next we got Lizard Connor's Curse. It's a 4-mana green, a legendary creature lizard villain. It's a 5/5 with trample, and it has a lizard formula. When it enters, up to 1 other target creature loses all abilities and becomes a green lizard creature with base power and toughness 4/4. So this actually seems like a pretty decent card in Commander. Not because it could target your own creatures, but rather because it could target your opponent's commanders. Because this is basically a removal spell for your opponent's commanders. It turns them to 4/4s with no abilities, but instead of sending them back to the command zone where they can be recast, you just turn them into 4/4s with no abilities, and then they have to kill that creature before they can recast the commander, or like bounce it or blink it or something like that. It could be actually very like effective, for example, if you're up against like a Derevi or you're up against a Yuriko, something that you don't actually necessarily want to kill because killing doesn't solve the issue permanently. This one actually puts a roadblock on them. They become creatures with no abilities, and then they have to kill their own creature before they get to utilize the commander again. So this is actually pretty decent in Commander. It's 4 mana. It's a little bit slow, but you get a 5/5 trampler on it. It's an ETB ability too, so if you blink it or whatever, you can continually nerf your opponent's creatures. Yeah, they get 4/4s, but whatever, you have a 5/5, so they can't really attack you with it. Yeah, I think this one's actually low-key quite good in the 99. You could also put this in the command zone to just really wreck your opponent's commanders repeatedly. But I think it's just better in the 99 because it doesn't really further your own game plan in the command zone. So I'll just put it over here. Next, we got another Spider-Man Eternal card. It's a Lila Holographic Assistant. It's a 4-mana blue legendary artifact creature illusion advisor. Whenever you draw a card, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. I like this. I like that this effect is uncapped, but I feel like there's probably already blue cards that do this, but better. I don't know. It puts it on target creature. I know there's other cards that like put cards on itself when you're drawing cards. Putting on target creatures can be interesting. So maybe there's like some combos you can pull off with this that you couldn't with previous cards in mono blue. But I don't quite know, and I'm not going to look it up. So I'll put it in the maybe pile. This is a maybe for me. It could be good if it enables infinite combos and other cards can't do it in mono blue or can't do it as well. Otherwise, I feel like it's not doing enough. Next, we have Madame Web, Clairvoyant. It's a 6-mana blue legendary creature, Mutant Advisor. It's a 4/4. You may look at the top card of your library at any time. You may cast spider spells and non-creature spells from the top of your library. Whenever you attack, you may mill a card. So this is just a future sight on a 6-drop, but you can only cast spiders or non-creature spells. And it does a little bit of like top deck manipulation too, because when you're attacking, you can mill. But overall, this is not doing enough in Commander, I don't think. That's a big 6-drop with no protection from removal. Madame Web, you are Madame Trash. Next up is Mary Jane Watson. It's a 2-mana Selesnya creature. It's 1 in hybrid green-white. Legendary creature, Human Performer, is a 2/2. Whenever a spider you control enters, draw a card. This ability triggers only once each turn. This card is fine if you are in a spider deck. Just a 2-drop that it basically acts as a Phyrexian Arena if you manage to play a spider on each of your turns is already pretty darn good. But it gets even better if you manage to flash in spiders, because then you could potentially play not just a spider on your turn, but on your opponent's turn, and you can draw more than one card each turn cycle. Then it becomes bananas. But even the baseline, just managing to play one spider on each of your turns is already good for a 2-drop. Outside of a spider deck, obviously not playable. I'm also considering it in Changelings, because again, it is just like a 2-drop that draws cards each turn. All my Changelings are spiders. But I don't have like any ways of flashing more spiders on my opponent's turn, so it's always just going to be one card drop per turn cycle. Might be enough though. Pretty easy to cast as well. Pretty decent. Mary Jane, I think, is going to be best in the 9/9 over the command zone. Just because I feel like in the command zone, I don't know how many Selesnya spiders you have to fill out a deck, but if you could put it in the 9/9 of more colors, spidery colors, it's going to just do more work. We've got more Spider-Man. It's Miles Morales, 2-mana green, legendary creature, human citizen hero. When it enters, put a +1 counter on each of up to 2 target creatures. Then you can pay 6 mana Naya, transform Miles Morales, activate only as a sorcery. The backside or front side, I'm not quite sure, is Ultimate Spider-Man, 6 mana Naya, legendary creature, spider human hero, 4/3, first strike, haste, camouflage. You can pay 2 mana, put a +1/+1 counter on Ultimate Spider-Man. He gains hexproof and becomes colorless until end of turn. And whenever you attack, double the number of each kind of counter on each spider and a legendary creature you control. So this is counters matters, and unlike Eddie Brock, well, also like the Ghost Spider, both sides actually work together, which, yay, good job. So the front side, you just get some counters on stuff. The back side is the more exciting side. You're adding, you add a little built-in protection to it by spending mana. And then also when you're attacking, you're doubling counters. Doubling counters is good. Again, not super like busted or anything, but it's just solid value. You can go Naya counters, and it's a good commander in the command zone for that. Oh boy, there's still so many spider folks still. But yeah, Ultimate Spider-Man, I would say great in the command zone. Here's another one of my favorites. This is Mr. Negative. It's a 7-mana Orzhov, a legendary creature human villain. It's a 5/5 with Vigilance Lifelink and has Dark Force Inversion. When it enters, you may exchange your life total with target opponent. If you lose life this way, draw that many cards. Now this is a very powerful card. You can put this in the 99 or in the command zone of a life swap deck. The idea being here that you try to get your life total low by, spending your life doing cool things like reanimate or sign in blood effects, draw cards, lose that much life. Get your life total very, very low, be reckless with it. Then you drop down Mr. Negative, you swap your low life total with somebody else's much higher life total, put them in kill range, kill them immediately afterwards or whatever. But when you're doing that, you're also drawing oodles of cards, which is way better than any other life swap card we've ever seen before. Life swap used to just be we swap life totals, that's it. This time it's like we swap life totals, but also, by the way, I'm going to draw a billion cards at the same time. Thank you very much. And it's on an ETB, so this means you can like blink it or whatever, and keep reusing its ability too, which is very, very good. Very, very strong. Now, it's a 7-drop, so you might be wondering, how should I even put this in the command zone? And I would say definitely yes, because the way I would envision a Mr. Negative deck to be built in the command zone is you just overload your deck with ramp cards, just like all the mana rocks, all the best ramp cards in Orzhov, and just try to dump your hand as quickly as possible. Be reckless with your mana as well too. Use like the lose life to make mana or whatever, like Lortho, I think is the name. And then there's also Black Market Connections, all those type of effects to generate mana, generate card advantage, keep ramping, keep losing life, and then ramp into Mr. Negative, get him out onto the battlefield by turn 5 or whatever, swap life totals with somebody who has higher life total than you, draw, and then refill your hand immediately, and then you can just keep doing that thing over and over again. So that's the way I would envision building him as a commander, basically like the Kozilek style play, where you just go ramp into your commander, instant refill, go from there. But you can also put him in the 99, where you probably just want to play him in an life swap deck, discard him, reanimate him, and then, just do the life swap thing, draw a bunch of cards. And then, yeah, that seems like the way you would build him, either in the command zone, either in the 99. He's going to be amazing here. He's definitely power creeping my poor Selenia commander deck even further. It's definitely way stronger than Selenia is in the command zone, but am I going to be swapping commanders? Absolutely not. The whole point of like Selenia and stuff is I wanted to play old school commanders that are kind of janky looking, but you make them work anyway. And yeah, Selenia is power crept. Who cares? I'm still sticking with her, but I will put this in the 99. So this is definitely another Tomer favorites. It's going to be going into the 99 of my Selenia deck. And if you just want to have a power crept life swap commander, you just put this in the command zone and Zen. I'm not doing that, but I'm very happy to put this in the 99. Next, we have MJ Rising Star. This is a Spider-Man Eternal card from the Welcome deck. It's just a 3-mana Ajani's Pridemate that has Vigilance. It's not very exciting in Commander. So we're going to just basically skip it. We're going to put it in Spider Trash. Next, we've got Molten Man, Inferno Incarnate. It's a 3-mana red, legendary creature elemental villain. When it enters, search your library for a basic mountain card, put it onto the battlefield tapped, and shuffle. And Mountain Man gets +1/+1 for each mountain you control. And then when it leaves the battlefield, you sacrifice the land. So, not a very exciting card in most commander decks. However, there is at least one that is actually very exciting, and that's Zedru. I have a Zedru paper deck. I run another card that does basically the exact same thing as this, except it's not legendary. And basically the idea is that you play it, you ramp out a mountain, then you donate it to somebody, and then when Molten Man eventually dies or whatever, that person gets to sacrifice a land on you. So ramp for me, lose a land for you. Fair and balanced. It's also good in like any donate deck though. Like there's like a demon thingy that's in Rakdos that does the same thing. There's a donate style deck. But yeah, I'm putting in my Zedru list. So Molten Man. Greater than 99. I'm going to be putting it in Zedru. Oh, it's Morbin time. We got Morbius the Living Vampire. It's a 4-mana Dimir legendary creature, vampire scientist villain. It's a 3/1 flying vigilance lifelink, and it has an activate ability from the graveyard. Pay blue-black, exile this card from your graveyard, look at the top 3 cards of your library, put one of them into your hand, and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. So it's a mini impulse from the graveyard, which is actually awesome. This is actually an activate ability you would want to put in your deck for. This is great in discard decks. This is great in graveyard decks. This is great in surveil decks. I wouldn't put this as the commander because it's all about that activate ability from the graveyard. But yeah, if I'm like in a graveyard deck, I would just jam Morbius in the 99 and just hope to mill him or discard him and then use that activate ability at some point in time. It's also not sorcery speed too, so you can just play kind of draw go-y and wait to utilize it at the right time. So I think this card is actually legit, and it is definitely Morbin time. Turns out Morbius, great in the 9/9. Next we have Morlon, Devourer of Spiders. It's X and double black, legendary creature, vampire villain. It's a 2/1 with lifelink. It enters with X +1/+1 counters on him, and when he enters, he deals X damage to target opponent. So this is just a mana sink for black decks. Black, especially mono black, is well known for late game ramp with Cabal Coffers effects, mana doubling effects. So having this in the command zone kind of means, hey, I have my finisher in the command zone. Watch out, this is how I'm going to kill you. I think this is better in the 99 because then your opponents don't necessarily know that you're going to kill them with a big Morlon. I also like the fact that it has lifelink and he deals damage, so you're going to gain as much life as you deal with him. So he's not like Gary level, definitely not Gary level, but if you're a big mana black deck, this is a good finisher, I think, in the 99. Morlon, whatever you're called, you're fun in the 99. Next, we got Mysterio, Master of Illusions. 4 mana blue, legendary creature, human villain. It's a 3/3. When it enters, create a 3/3 blue illusion villain creature token for each non-token villain you control. Exile those tokens when Mysterio leaves the battlefield. So when it enters, it will make at least one 3/3 illusion villain, because Mysterio is a villain. But if you have a lot of villains on the battlefield, you can make a whole bunch of 3/3s, which is very exciting. I can imagine this. Well, it can work in a villain deck, but I don't believe there are going to be like villain decks, really. It seems like all the villains are doing their own thing. But if you're in like a deck that, plays Maskwood Nexus or whatever that turns all your things into villains, this can be very, very exciting. You play this, you get like an oodle amount of 3/3s on the battlefield. You could probably combo off with like Astronaut Altar and Nim Death Mantle type things, do silly stuff. But yeah, I feel like if you can make all your stuff on the battlefield villains, you can do some really silly things with Mysterio. Is he good in the command zone? Is he good in the 99? I'm not quite sure. He's definitely a maybe for me though. Mysterio, definitely a maybe. I'm not sure where you want to play him. Like maybe Min Wily Illusionist, but I don't think he's good enough for Min. But yeah, a very interesting design. Next, we've got Norman Osborn. This is another flip villain creature mythic. It's 2 mana blue, legendary creature, human scientist villain. It's a 1/1. It can't be blocked. When it deals combat damage to a player, you connive. So it's nice, a little bit of a Ludin. And then you can pay 4 mana, 1 and Grixis, transform Norman Osborn. Or you could just cast him from the backside. It's the Green Goblin. 4 mana, Grixis, legendary creature, goblin human villain, flying menace. It's a 3/3. Spells you cast from your graveyard cost 2 less to cast. Nice. And it has a goblin formula. Each non-land card in your graveyard has mayhem. The mayhem cost is equal to its mana cost. Wowzers. Again, this is the goblins. They stay winning. I feel like the goblins just got the best cards from the Spider-Man set. I swear. So yeah, the front side, again, like this is definitely something you want to be as your commander, like all of these flip ones. The front side is something you can play early. If you don't have another 2-drop or whatever, you play it early, it's looting for you, and then when you're good and ready, you can just flip it, or you can just wait. You do 2 drops or whatever, and then you just wait and you cast the Green Goblin mid to late game. It works really, really well with like mass looting effects, wheel effects, and then you can kind of go stormy, right? Like if you wheel, you can wheel your hand with like a windfall or whatever. Then all the stuff that you just discarded has mayhem, and they all cost 2 less to cast. He also works really well with like flashback, right, or escape, or any sort of stuff that lets you just cast spells from the graveyard. So yeah, this card is very, very strong. Really, really strong. It doesn't feel very stormy, I would imagine, where you like kind of just want to wheel and then dump your hand, then go super mayhem and goblin all over the place. So Green Goblin, this is a very strong one, very, very strong one. I'm going to put it great in the command zone. Definitely something that is going to be kill on sight. Like you just can't let the goblin stick around or else he's going to goblin all over you. Next, we got another Spider-Man. Yes, it is Peter Parker, who flips and is mythic. So the front side is 2 mana white, Peter Parker, legendary creature, human scientist hero. It's a 0/1. When it enters, you create a 2/1 green spider creature token with reach, and then you can pay 3 mana, 1 and Bant. Transform Peter Parker, activated only as a sorcery. The backside that he could just cast straight up also is Amazing Spider-Man. So 3 mana Bant, or 4 mana Bant, legendary creature, spider human hero, 4/4 Vigilance Reach. Each legendary spell you cast that's 1 or more colors has web slinging Bant. So I imagine this deck is going to be all about, I guess, like mana dorks and stuff. You want like Llanowar Elves, you want your Birds of Paradise, so that they tap, they add mana, but oh, look at that. You can also web sling with them, and then you web sling like some huge game-winning threats. Diluvian Primordials. I guess that's not game-winning. I don't know. Something in Bant that wins the game very, very quickly. Craterhoof Behemoth. I don't know. You tell me what you're going to be web-slinging in with Spider-Man's ability. I don't know. But yeah, the card is actually very, very exciting. And also very, very scary. Thankfully, it has to be 1 or more colors. So you're not going to be web-slinging in Emrakul, thank goodness, or a Blightsteel Colossus. But I'm sure there are game-winning threats that are 1 or more colors in Bant that you can still web-sling in. Yeah, really cool design. Incredibly scary. Again, like you see Amazing Spider-Man, you have to kill him, because whatever he cheats in, it's not going to be good for you. Also, I just realized it's a legendary spell too, so it can't be Craterhoof. Can't be Craterhoof, has to be legendary, has to be colored, can't be Emrakul, can't be Blightsteel. Let me know in the comments section, what are you swinging in? Are you swinging in Jin-Gitaxias? Are you swinging in Big Mom? Maria? I don't know. Something? I don't know. You tell me in the comment section below. This video is getting long. There's so many spider folks. We're gonna zip zoppity zoop over to Great in the command zone. Yeah, there's another one, just like Green Goblin. Like, if you see Spider-Man, I assume he must die, or else you're gonna die. But let me know what you're web slinging in with this cool ability. Next, we got Prowler, Clawed Thief, 3 mana Dimir, legendary creature, human rogue villain. It's a 2/3 with menace, and whenever another villain you control enters, Prowler connives. This is okay, I guess. There might be some infinite combos, I doubt, but maybe. And again, it's also key to villains, which I don't think there's going to be a lot. I don't see a villain deck, at least, out of all of these. But yeah, it's an interesting effect. Probably focused more on limited play, though. Prowler, you could be trash. I'm just going to hedge my bets and say spider trash. We got another Prowler. This is a Spider-Man Eternal version. It's Prowler, Misguided Mentor, 3 mana green, legendary creature, human rogue villain. It's a 3/3, can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less, and when it deals combat damage to a player, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. It's not getting commander. Next. Boop. Spider trash. Next, we got Rhino, Barreling Brute, the 7 mana Gruul, legendary creature, human villain. It's a 6/7 with Vigilance, Trample, Haste, and whenever it attacks, if you've cast a spell of mana value 4 or greater this turn, you draw a card. And I mean, if you just cast Rhino and you attack, you will also draw a card too. It's actually a lot of damage, and it's drawing a card each turn, so it's like a freaking Phyrexian Arena and Gruul that's smacking people in the face for 6 trample, and it has Vigilance, so it's a really good blocker. This one, it looks a little dumb. It's a lot of mana, but by golly, it's actually pretty decent, I think. I don't know where I would put it. It's probably for lower power anyway, but like, I'm putting in the maybe pile, not straight up trash, maybe. I think Rhino is a maybe for me. He's not great, but I think he's definitely a maybe. Next, we have Sandman, Shifting Scoundrel, 3 mana, green, legendary creature, sand elemental villain. Its power and toughness are each equal to the number of lanes you control. It can't be blocked by creatures power 2 or less, and you can pay 5 mana, return this card, and target land card from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. Heck yeah. So this is kind of interesting in lanes decks that have a graveyard sub-theme, which is literally all of them. No, it works. It works more good if you have ways of discarding him. Usually lands decks are graveyard decks in the sense that you play like all the fetch lands and then they put themselves in the graveyard and then you reanimate the lands from the graveyard. But this one wants you to discard Sandman or like mill Sandman or something like that, which is less green decks or less land decks do that. So like Jund lands or something like that, Naya lands or something like that. Something where you can discard him pretty reliably or mill him pretty reliably. Is he good? He's probably still decent, right? Like paying 5 mana, reanimating a land, bringing himself back. He's a really big creature. He can't be chumped by small creatures. Yeah, I think he's playable in a land deck, but in the 9/9. All right, Sandman, great in 9/9, and boy, am I getting tired. But guess what? It's another Spider-Man. It's Scarlet Spider Ben Reilly. 3 mana Gruul, legendary creature, spider human hero. It's a 4/3, has web slinging of just 2 mana, red and a green, has trample, and sensational save. If Scarlet Spider was cast using web slinging, he enters with X+1/+1 counters on him, where X is the mana value of the return creature. So he's just a big beater. Big beater with trample, bounces something, reuses, enters the battlefield, leave the battlefield triggers. Kind of cool. But is he scaling well into Commander? I don't think so. I think he's probably decent, though. Maybe in like Standard or something. Definitely very, very scary and limited. But in Commander, not so much. Scarlet Spider, I'm going to say, is a maybe. I think he's actually less playable than Rhino, actually, in Commander. But he's okay. Oh gosh, it's another Spider-Man. It's Scarlet Spider Kane. It's a 2-mana Rakdos, legendary creature, spider human hero. It's a 2/1 with menace. When Scarlet Spider enters, you may discard a card. If you do, put a +1/+1 counter on him. And he has Mayhem of just 1 mana, Rakdos hybrid. So he's a discard enabler. He's a Mayhem enabler, but he also has Mayhem himself. Seems like a cornerstone for limited and not very exciting for Commander. All right, the Spider Trash keeps getting bigger. This is just another limited fodder. I'm not even going to really read it. It's Scorpion. He connives a little bit. Not very exciting. Scorpion, straight to trash. All right, Sensational Spider-Man. 3 mana or Azorius, blue-white. Legendary creature, spider human hero. 3/3. Whenever Sensational Spider-Man attacks, tap target creature defending player controls and put a stun counter on it. Then you may remove up to 3 stun counters from among all permanents. Draw cards equal number of stun counters removed this way. This card is kind of exciting if you can find ways of putting stun counters on like all your opponent's creatures, which I think there are a couple of. I can't think of off the top of my head, but I know they exist. I might put them in during editing, but also Tomer is very tired. Tomer's talking in third person even. So it could draw a lot of cards as part of the 99 or as a commander, if you could just like stun everything and draw a lot of cards that way. Probably as a commander. It's a 3-drop, then you just focus on putting stun counters on everything and drawing a lot of cards every single turn. Seems pretty good. Even just by itself, it taps something down, removes a potential blocker, and draws you a card each turn. This one's actually quite good. This Spider-Man is Spider great in the command zone. Okay, shocker. This is another limited card for just, limited. It's an uncommon. Doesn't really do that much good stuff. We'll skip it. Shocker goes to trash. All right, Shriek is another just limited card that is not good in Commander. But I just wanted to point out that the name is super good. Shriek Troublemaker? Troublemaker? Oh, awesome. Perfect. No notes. Card is trash, though. And there it goes. Next, we have Silk Webweaver. It's a 4-mana Selesnya, legendary creature, spider human hero. 3/5, web slinging, 3 mana, 1 green and a white. Whenever you cast a creature spell, create a 1/1 green and white human citizen creature token, and you can pay 5 mana, 3 green white. Creatures you control get +2/+2 and gain vigilance until end of turn. This is kind of like a Torrens variant. It costs 1 extra mana, but it has web slinging, so it has some extra value. You can like bounce a creature, then recast it. You get another token. And it also has a mana sink where you can turn all your creatures, pump up all your creatures and give them vigilance. So even if you're not killing like the entire table by overrunning somebody, you just have vigilance, so you don't have to worry about the crackback when you commit to attacking. Really, really good card. Is it better than Torrens? It may be, actually, just because it has that Anthema mana sink on it. But regardless, it kind of fits the same theme where you just want to be like super, super creature heavy. I'm talking like 40 plus creatures in your deck. Play a bunch of creatures, cast spells that draw you cards equal to the number of creatures you control, and then eventually just sink all your mana into the Anthem effect. Really, really strong commander. This one is not like unique or anything, but very, very good in the command zone. All right, then we got Silver Sable, Mercenary Leader. This is, again, just a card made for limited. Not exciting in Commander. I just want to ask, what's going on with the art over here? Is she with the team that's coming from the helicopter? If so, why are they shooting laser beams at her? I think she's with the team, because otherwise, why is she not afraid of the laser beams being shot at her? What's going on? And also, why does she have a katana and a dagger, and there's laser beams? Shouldn't she pick up a laser gun? I don't know. This seems weird. I'm just confused, and I want some explanations. Silver Sable, confusing, but also trash. Next, we have another spider. It's Spider, piloted by Penny. It's a 5-mana Azorius legendary artifact creature, Spider hero. It's a 4/4 with vigilance, and when Spider enters, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. And whenever a modified creature you control deals combat damage to a player, you draw a card. Coastal Piracy for modified, but this is like literally card draw instead of impulse draw. We've seen this with Arena, but this costs a little bit. That was Boros. This is Azorius. This one costs a little bit more mana, but it does like literally the exact same thing actually. It's like putting counters on stuff, and when your modified creatures are dealing combat damage, you draw cards, so it's card advantage. Literally the same thing. I think Arena is a little bit better, just because I think it's like the +1/+1 counter is like every single turn. If I remember, I'm not going to look it up. I'm too lazy. This video's gone on way too long. But yeah, I think this is playable in Commander. If you're in a modified deck and you want more card draw, it's fine. It's playable. It's not exciting, but it's fine. So Spider, there's more counter stuff. I don't know. I'm going to put this like grade in the 99. At the bottom of grade in the 99. I don't know. I'm tired. Next, we have probably the most playable of all the Spider-Men. It is Spectacular Spider-Man. It's 2-mana white, legendary creature, Spider Human Hero. It's a 3/2 flash, pay 1 mana. Spider-Man gets flying until end of turn. Pay 1 mana, sacrifice him. Creatures of control gain hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. Being able to just flash in Spider-Man and then give everything hexproof and indestructible, all your creatures hexproof and indestructible, is kind of really good. That's its main use. Is you basically just wait until your board gets wiped or an important creature is about to get sniped. Pay 3 mana, get him out, sacrifice him, save the day. And then, works really well for animation, works really well with Sun Titan effects, all that good stuff. Very playable in many decks, not just like a specific deck. Very spectacular, much wow, great in 99 in a bunch of decks. Okay, there's more Spider people, but this one is not very good in Commander. It's just a Mana War ETB return. Actually, it's better than a Mana War. It returns any target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. I guess that's kind of good in some decks. Maybe in like a Blink deck that's very budget. I guess maybe we'll put Spider Bites in the maybe. I'm not even reading the cards anymore. I'm so done with the Spider people. Holy crap! There's more Spider people. It's Spider Girl, Legacy Hero. 2 mana Selesnya, legendary creature Spider Human Hero. 2/2 during your turn. It has flying. When it leaves the battlefield, create a 1/1 green and white human citizen creature token. Why did I read this card out? It's not very good in Commander. Again, it's a limited card. It's just like web slinging. It just like helps with web slinging, I guess. Yeah. For your limited decks. All right, Spider Trash. Spider Gwen, another limited card. It's just to enable mayhem and, that sort of stuff, I guess. Yep. All right, Spider Gwen, trash you go. Spider Ham, Peter Porker, another Spider-Man. It's 2 mana green, legendary creature. ETBs makes a food. Gives +1/+1 to a whole bunch of creature types. It's not very good. Not very good in Commander. I guess like if you're just like a Jackal deck or something in green and you really need some support, I think just you could run it, I guess. We'll slam him down into the maybe pile, sure. Ooh, I like the art on this one. I think I'm biased because I'm Izzet, but this one's banging. Spider-Man 2099, 2 mana Izzet, legendary creature, human, it's a spider guy. So 2/3 from the future. You can't cast Spider-Man 2099 during your first, second, or third turns. It's a double strike vigilance. At the beginning of your end step, if you played a land or cast a spell this turn from anywhere other than your hand, it deals damage equal to his power to any target. That's pretty cool. Not being able to cast him first, second, or third turns is interesting. Would I put him in the command zone or in the 99? I think he's still in the command zone. Like, yeah, you can't play for the first 3 turns, but he seems like an Exile Matters style deck, right? Like, you want to play a lot of impulse draw, and then you want to grow him, and when he gets really big, he gets to do double damage with his double strike, but then he also burns somebody in the face, or he can take out creatures too. It's any target. Yeah, this one seems good. It's like flexible. It's removal in the command zone, which is kind of annoying for your opponents. It means he's going to die a lot, but he does a lot of damage. There's a lot of pump effects on him. Double damage with double strike. He has vigilance. He's repeatable removal, and he's a finisher from the reach ability on end step. Impulse draw. Yeah, I like him. Spider Bro. Great. He's fine in the 99 too, but I think he's also great in the command zone. Then we got another Spider Guy 2099. This is in Spider-Man Eternal. It's a 5-mana blue legendary creature, 4/4. When it enters, return up to 1 target creature to its owner's hand. So it's a mana war. And then whenever one or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, you draw a card. So this is a Coastal Piracy on a creature. It's 5 mana instead of 4. But when it enters, you bounce a creature. It could be your own to like reuse ETBs, but more likely it's going to be bouncing a potential blocker. This one actually seems quite playable because, yeah, it costs 1 more for Coastal Piracy, but it's on a creature, which can be a good thing, and has a relevant ETB. So if you're like blinking it or whatever, you can repeatedly slow down your opponents. Yeah, I think that one's playable. Is it good in the command zone? Probably not. Being monocolor also hurts it, but in the 99, I think it's viable. This Spider Guy is in the 99 and he's okay. Let's put him in the bottom. There we go. Oh my god, more spider people. This one is Spider-Man Brooklyn Visionary. It's 5 mana green, which is not good, but you can web sling it in for 3. And if you web sling it in for 3, it's a Farhaven Elf, but it's a 4/3, which is very beefy for a Farhaven Elf. You just ramp out a basic land. I think this one is probably not good enough. If you could web sling with it very consistently, I guess in some deck you might want to, that you really want to web sling, you really want to bounce your own creatures repeatedly, then this is not so bad. It's going to be awkward to cast them on turn 3 realistically, but like, yeah, it could work in some deck. It's a maybe for me. I can envision like a 1 or 2 drop commander that has access to green, has a powerful enter the battlefield or leave the battlefield trigger, that you can go like 1 or 2 drop commander, swing in with it or tap with it or something, and then turn 3 you'll always have Spider-Man Brooklyn Visionary as a Farhaven Elf. That's like the only situation where I think he's going to be good. All right, now we have more limited fodder. It's Spider-Man India. Even if you web sling him in, he's not. I mean, I guess if you're super creature heavy, it's not once each turn. You're putting a counter on a creature every single time you cast a creature spell. Put +1/+1 counter on target creature you control against flying until end of turn. That's actually not a bad anthem. I guess you could put it in like a creature heavy deck. I guess I'm just tired, man. I'm just tired. I think it's really the fact that they're all just called Spider something. That's what really gets to me. Like, couldn't they just have different names? Let's give them different names. Spider-Man Miles Morales. 6 mana, green, legendary creature, Spider-Man human hero. It's a 5/5 vigilance trample. And whenever it enters or attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on each other creature you control. Those creatures gain trample until end of turn. Very good when you have blinky stuff or just haste. It's kind of like a little mini overrun on a creature, and it's permanent because +1/+1 counters. Counters matter, synergies, decent stuff. I wouldn't put him as a commander. I put him in a 99 because he's more kind of finishery. And he's 6 mana, so he's a lot of mana to get going. But yeah, I actually think this one's actually quite playable in a counters deck. Miles Morales, great in the 99. Spider-Man Noir, only good and limited, not worth reading about. Cool art though. All right, straight into the trash with you. Wait, I swear we already had a Spider-Man Peter Parker. Did we not? Did we not? All right, whatever. It's Spider-Man Peter Parker. 5 mana, white, legendary creature, thing. It's a 4/4 with flying, just straight up flying this time. It always flies. Whenever you gain life, pull a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. It gains indestructible until end of turn. This one I think is actually very good in a life gain deck, especially when you're like, you have like Soul Sisters and stuff, and you have flash creatures and stuff, where you can, gain a bunch of life incrementally with Soul Sisters, put like counters on all your creatures, and then save them from your own board wipe to turn your board wipes into one-sided ones. But also, if your opponents are trying to kill your own creatures, if you have flash creatures, or if you just have ways of gaining life outside of Soul Sisters and stuff, you can like instant speed, gain life, and save your creatures by giving them indestructible. Seems really good. Also, just like a straight up anthem because it's growing your creatures with counters. Yeah, I think this one is something you really want to have in a life gain deck. It could be a commander, but I think it's probably just better suited in the 99. All right, Peter Parker, great in the 99. Spider-Man Web Slinger, obviously just limited stuff. It's just a 3/3. Thwip, I'm putting him in Spider Trash. Spider-Punk, one of my favorite card designs. Unfortunately, just not running in myself in any decks. Spider-Punk, 2 mana red, legendary creature, Spider Human Hero. 2/1 Riot. Other spiders you control have Riot. Spells and abilities can't be countered. Damage can't be prevented. Love all those keywords. I hate all the fogs and the T-Pros and your stupid One Rings and all that stuff that gets around it. Riot's cool. Can't be countered. Yeah, just cool. Just a cool card. Anti-control, anti-fogs, anti-all that stuff. Good for your spider decks. I was seriously considering putting this in Changelings, but I just think it's... The can't be countered, damage can't be prevented, Riot, blah, blah, blah. It's all good, but I just don't know if it's good in Changelings. I feel like Changelings need a little bit more, because they're all just like 1/1s and 2/2s. So it's like, yeah, giving them a counter on them is not very great. And then the rest is a little bit too narrow. So I wish it was good in Changelings, but I think the card is just very sweet. Just a very cool card. Spider-Punk, it's a maybe. I don't know where it's great, but it's really cool in a specific deck. Yep, we got Spider-Rex. Definitely a Spider-Man set can't be done without Spider-Rex. Yeah. All right, trash. More limited fodder, pass. And trash. Spider-Man Heroic Horde is actually pretty decent spider support, I guess. Yeah, probably not. Thank goodness most of these are trash. I'm losing my mind. Spider UK. 2 more creatures enter the battlefield under control this turn. You draw a card and you gain 2 life. This one is actually borderline playable. Like, it's just like another Rumor Gatherer, but it's worse because it's only on your own end step. And you have to web sling it in if you want to get it in for 3 mana. Probably not good enough. If this was like 2015, I would say, heck yeah, oh my god, White got some busted card draw. But this is not 2020. It's not 2015, it's 2025. Not good enough these days. All right, trash. Spider-Woman is kind of like a little bit of minor stacks for your opponents, but it is a 2/2 flyer for 2, which means you could like put equipments on it and stuff. It comes in with evasion. That's kind of interesting. But I think it's probably not good enough in Commander. Probably not. We'll put it top of the spider trash. Spinneret and Spiderling. Nah. All right, we'll pass. It's, first of all, way too much facts. Second of all, it's way too narrow. It's not good. It's not good for Commander. It's probably decent in Standard, I guess. I don't know. Bam! Spiderling. There you go. All right, Starling. This is just another limited fodder card. Trash. This one is also limited fodder. It's kind of funny, though. Like, you can pay 2 mana, discard the card, give something a pump effect, so it's hard to counter it. It's +3/+1. And then it also turns into a dinosaur, which I don't know if it's ever going to be relevant, but it's kind of funny. But yeah, still trash. Spider. Actually, this is probably a maybe. I don't know. If you're in some sort of discard deck, it puts a 5/4 into the graveyard and is a pump effect. Kind of think of it as like cycling, but instead of cycling, you're getting a +3/+1 and turns something into a giant dinosaur. Interesting. Sun Spider is kind of interesting. It's 4 mana Azorius. It's hybrid white-blue to cast it, so it's pretty easy to cast. It's a 3/2. It has flying on your turn, and when it enters, you get to tutor up an aura or equipment card and put it into your hand. Tutoring up an equipment for 4 mana on ETB is okay, I guess, if you're on a budget. Which, I mean, it's just an uncommon. We can do this at 2 mana for like Stoneforge Mystic and Cloud or whatever. But tutoring up an aura and putting it into your hand is a little bit harder to do, even outside of a budget. Like, you do like idyllic tutor and stuff, and it's kind of hard otherwise. Yeah, I think it's almost playable in auras. Almost. But it's 4 mana, so it's a lot. Sun Spider, I think it's like a maybe. Like I could see like people actually trying to run it, and it's fine as a budget inclusion. Superior Spider-Man, 4 mana, Dimir, legendary creature, spider human hero, 4/4. It has Mind Swap. You may have Superior Spider-Man enter as a copy of any creature card in a graveyard except his name is Superior Spider-Man, and he's a 4/4 spider human hero in addition to his other types. When you do exile that card, interesting. It's like a weird clone that copies things in the graveyard and it exiles it. So it's a little bit of graveyard hate. It's a little bit of a clone effect. Probably really wants to be blinked. Probably really wants to pair with mill like a Mesmeric Orb just so you have more options at any given time. Interesting design. I like it. I just don't know what the heck I'd do with it. But yeah, I like it. Superior Spider-Man. I'll put a grade in the 99. I'm not quite sure where I would use it, but it is interesting. We can't have a Spider-Man set without Swarm being of bees. It's limited fodder, so we can skip it. This is not the bee's knees, I'm afraid to say. Now, Symbiote Spider-Man is a cool one. This is a 3 mana Dimir, but hybrid Dimir symbol, so easier to cast. Legendary creature, Symbiote Spider Hero. It's a 2/4. Whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, look at that many cards from the top of your library, put one of them into your hand and the rest into your graveyard. So it's graveyard filling, but also card draw. And then it has Find a New Host. You could pay 3 mana. Again, 2 and hybrid Dimir. Exile this card from your graveyard. Put +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. It gains this card's other abilities. Activate only as a sorcery. So just by itself, if you find a new host with it, whatever that creature you put the counter on, it's also going to have the combat damage trigger, which is very cool. I think this card is better suited than 99 for that reason. You probably just want to surveil it away, mill it away or whatever, and then use that ability onto a evasive creature, something with flying or can't be blocked or whatever. And then you just have a really cool ability that also draws you cards, but also fills your graveyard. Yeah, I think this card's really, really cool. I think it's very neat. I would like to play it in the Mirror Graveyard decks. Symbiote Spider-Man, great in the 99. The Mary Jane's welcome set, just limited fodder. Well, just 1v1 welcome deck fodder, I guess. Trash, easy peasy. The Spot, Living Portal. 5 mana Orzhov legendary creature, human scientist villain. 4/4, when it enters, exile to 1 target non-land permanent and up to 1 target non-land permanent card from a graveyard. And when the Spot dies, put him onto the bottom of his owner's library. If you do, return the exile cards to their owner's hands. So, kind of utilizes Blink on your own creatures and a little bit of like graveyard recursion, I guess. But you can also activate him as like a Fiend Hunter effect where you can like play him and then kill him before the enter ability resolves. So the death trigger thing happens, and then the whatever you exile is exiled forever, which is probably the better way to use him. Otherwise, I think he still costs too much mana, though. That's the main thing against him. Really cool art, though. I think that's neat. The Spot is a maybe for me. I think he's interesting. I just think he costs a little bit too much mana for me to actually play him. Tombstone, weirdly enough, kind of decent. He's a Gravedigger, but he's only 3 mana instead of 4. But he will only return villains, and he makes your villain spells cost less to cast. I think this one is actually pretty decent in a changeling deck if you're not running the Ur-Dragon, right? If you don't have that mana discount, one generic mana discount, this is actually pretty darn decent, but I can't really use it in my changeling deck at least because all my changelings cost like 1 green pip or whatever. It doesn't usually have any colorless requirements anymore thanks to Ur-Dragon. But, I mean, this is actually pretty mana efficient for what it's doing. Tombstone is definitely a maybe. Like, if you are in a villain deck or a changeling deck that can properly utilize him, he's very mana efficient for what he's doing. Ultimate Green Goblin. 3 mana, Rakdos, double hybrid mana. Legendary creature Goblin Villain. It's a 5/4 for 3. Pretty nice. At the beginning of your upkeep, discard a card, then create a treasure token. And it also has Mayhem. The goblins keep winning. This one is the weakest of the goblins. It's Olin making 1 treasure for you each turn, but it's a discard outlet, and it's a 5/4 for 3 mana. Granted, this is probably a lot better in like 1v1 formats, but it's still borderline, I think, in Commander. Maybe I'm like goblin pilled a little bit over here. I've seen so many really good banger goblins, and I'm like, any goblin now is just the hotness from the set. But like, this is still like borderline decent in Commander. Whatever. I'll give this one a maybe. Maybe I'm too goblin pilled over here, but I think this one's better than like Peter Porker or whatever. And then we've got a billion more Venoms. Venom Deadly Devourer is the first one. 4 mana Golgari, legendary creature, symbiote villain. It's a 4/4 Vigilance Menace. It has 3 mana activated ability. Exile target creature card from a graveyard. When you do, put X +1/+1 counters on target symbiote, where X is a card's toughness. 4 mana for just a 4/4 that's okay, and then you pay 3 mana to activate its ability. Too much mana for what it's doing over here. I'm sorry. It's kind of cool, but way too much mana. I'm sorry. Venom, Spider Trash. And we got another Venom. It's Venom Eddie Brock. 6 mana, black, legendary creature, symbiote villain. 6/4 menace. Whenever another creature dies, put a +1/+1 counter on Venom. If that creature was a villain, draw a card. If you're in a villain aristocrats deck, there's dozens of us. It's pretty good, I guess. I guess if you're changelings aristocrats, that's the way. He's a maybe. Like, if there is support, if there is a villain deck that's aristocraty, he's going to be very good. I just don't know if that thing exists. All right, then we got limited fodder Venom. Just a Death Toucher. It can be activated from the graveyard, but only sorcery, and it's not a good activation. Not very good. And we'll put him in trash. Oh my goodness, is this trash? 6 mana for a 4/6 flyer, and when it attacks, you give your other villains flying, and that's it. Nope, not good. I mean, he's probably very good in limited, if limited's actually playable, but yeah, not in Commander. And last card, we're ending off with a whimper. It's Wraith Vicious Vigilante, 3 mana Azorius. It's a 1 with double strike and can't be blocked. I guess that it's okay if you're trying to go Voltron. It has evasion, has double strike. It's a good basis, I guess. If this was like 2015, I'd be like, hell yes, I am excited for this, but not. Yeah, it's fine in 2025, I guess. Yeah, we'll put her in a maybe. I'll be charitable. And that, my friends, that is the list. I don't know how you want to see it. I'm going to show it like this for a little seconds. If people want to, like, I don't know, screenshot it or something, we'll get a little bit closer. Top of the summer favorites. Aunt May Voltron definitely happening. Mr. Negative's going into Selenia. Anti-Venom, I just want to build around. It's very exciting for me. All these I'm going to build around for sure. And Aunt May Voltron is the first one. Then these are just like the Green Goblin, Amazing Spider-Man. These are like must-kill threats because you have no idea what they're going to poop out on you. All of these are really, really strong. The Great and the 9/9 are really, really good too, for the most part. A bunch of maybes, a bunch of trash that weren't like meant for Commander anyway. They're just trying to fill out the slots for limited and stuff. The fact that it was a small set that was very late in the design forced into becoming a large set, and they were just kind of scrambled to fill in the gaps, led to all of this trash. I'm actually, after looking at all of it, my main feedback is, first of all, too many Spider-Man. Too many. Just why? But yeah, that's number one. But number two is I was actually surprised at how many cards I actually liked from the set. There's quite a few that I actually want to brew around, which is the highest honors. And there's a lot that I'm like, hell yeah, these are really interesting for certain decks and stuff. Really, really cool cards. Definitely, I could see the vision of this deck, of this set, as a small design. Like, imagine if we only had these, just these, maybe even less than these, just these, as the cards in the pool that you were excited about, and not like all the filler stuff. I could see that being very exciting to Spider-Man players instead of being full of padding. But I am overall happy with this set in terms of stuff that I'm excited for. There's enough cards that I'm excited for. And I hope you're happy to see this full breakdown of all the legendary creatures. It was a lot. I don't even want to see the runtime on this video. I am very tired. I'm going to edit this tomorrow, but I'm going to take a nap now. So hope you enjoyed, everyone. Like and subscribe if you like this sort of content. Until next time, friends. See ya.